her in love as we get back together. Brady Guthrie, who is our intern with all the ministers this year, Mackenzie and Tim, Bill, Andy, he is going to lead us in a prayer to start our school year. Right here, we'll get him to lead us in a prayer, and then we'll begin our meeting.
All right, let's pray. Dear God, thank you so much for this wonderful day that you blessed us with. Thank you for everyone in this room right now and the school year that they're about to start. Please bless them with the work they do here and help them make an impact on all the kids and their families, everyone who comes to the doors during the school year the next several months. Lord, just bless them with patience and a lot of energy to deal with everything that goes on here. Just thank you for all the great work that goes on here, and just continue to bless the work that goes here and to help impact all these kids in their future. Lord, we just love you so much and so thankful for your son dying across for our sins. His name we pray. Amen.
Can we get one chair because she will be here tomorrow.
We'll turn it over.
Yeah, and we're going to shift different people around tomorrow too, so you can try to get to know people that are not in your little bubble.
Oh, thank you.
We are going to start by going around and introducing ourselves because we have got a lot of new faces, which is exciting. I always love the newness of a new school year. Now, give us time, and we'll be like, we need May back. So hold on, I'm recording this for Kristen and anybody else that joins us. We're still needing 3 teachers. So if you have got anybody that you know of that would be interested, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's with the sweet little angels in our twos. I know that's nobody wants to do with diapers all day. I completely get it, but we are still needing 3 teachers. So, I'm Shelley Walden. This is going into my 11th year as director, but I have been here since 1998. My daughter was 8 months old when I started, so it has been a wonderful journey. I was started out as a pre-K teacher and then shifted into director 11 years ago, and I have loved almost every moment. There have been some hairy times along the way, but it's more parental than it is anything else, and I know you'll start to see that as we get into the school year, because our goal should be to help raise the parents to raise their kids, and we don't always have the right answer, but at least we try with the hand of God too. So I've been married 30 years to Ray this past June, and I've got 3 adult children and a granddaughter and a grandson on the way. And so that's a little bit about me. Yeah, Quincy is due November, so Jonah Odell will be here in November. I know, it's so exciting. And Sailor is just hilarious, so I'm hoping that she never loses her personality. You know, she furrows her brow at you. Addison will be here to help us next week with the phase-in week, just because there's going to be those kids that have never been away from their parents, and so Sailor will be here helping her just to walk the kids that are crying, because when we dismiss at noon, it'll be like, oh, Mom did come back, and she's going to be extra hands along with Devin, and Katrina's going to help us too. So there's a little bit about me, and I say we start here and go around the floaters, 3s, pre-K, and 2s.
I am Mackenzie. I've been here for 7-ish years. I started as a pre-K teacher, and now I work at the desk.
She's got a master's in Canva.
I'm married to Mark, and I have 2 kids, one at Creve Hall in 4th grade and one at Croft in 6th grade. So, it'll be a fun year.
Tracy, 12th year. I've been in the 2s, I've been in the 3s, I've floated, and now I'm up front 2 days a week and floating 3 days. I have 3 kids, 2 in college, and 1 at home. I'm moving 1 this afternoon.
I'm Mandy. I've been here 10 years, something like that. I've got 1 kiddo. Been married 16 years, I think.
It's all blending together. If something needs to be fixed,
Handy Mandy.
she's already done it. You don't even have to ask her, cause she sees it and does it.
I'm Brittany. I have been here maybe like, is this third, fourth year, something like that. I'm a floater, I've been in the twos, kinda help wherever. I have 3 kiddos, one at Croft and then 2 at Creek Hall. And I've been married for like, I don't know, 17 or so, 18 years, something like that. Never know the math on that. And I like Dr. Pepper. Yes. It's never a question, right? Diet, of course, okay? And that's it for now.
I'm Jamie. This is my 3rd year. I am floating lots more this year and any place else that I need to go because I'm very grateful to have a job right now. I have been married for 17 years and got 2 girls. Sophia is 15 and Maya is 10. Sophia goes to Hillsborough and we are already ragged in volleyball season. And Maya is at Norman Binkley. And if you need anything anal retentive projects done, I am your OCD gal. If you need a hug, if you need to overshare, I am your gal.
And let's give directions.
I didn't say I was married, but I am. Keep your guesses.
I don't know what you're gonna get in this
I think so. They're gonna say her marriage years.
I'm Stacy. This will be my 11th year. I've been married for 31 years. I have 2 23-year-olds. Garrett graduated this past year and he started his career job. Yay! Riley, success for adulthood. My daughter's in grad school and she graduates. She has the exact day, like 270 something days, and she graduates from school. So she's excited. And this is. I started out floating, went to the 2s, and now I'm in the 3s. I guess that's about it. I mean, I don't do anything, I don't go nowhere. Work, hang out at home,
You bring Sonic every day.
Sonic, a little treat, something, yeah. That's me.
I'm Caitlin. I think this is my 5th year here, about maybe. I have been married to Adam for 13 years in September. We have 3 kids. My oldest is my stepdaughter. She's off at college. And then I have Vivi, who's about to start Croft, and Janine's at Norman Binkley. I started in the 2s. Well, I started subbing, and then I was in the 2s, and then now I'm in the 3s.
I'm Joelle, newbie. Not like newbie, but I'm just newbie here. I dipped my toe in the waters last year and subbed quite a bit toward the end of the year. I have been in education for 20 years. I've done everything from teaching 4th and 5th grade primarily to coaching. Math coach was my career for 9 years. And so I've worked a lot with administration, executive directors, those types of things too. But I like kids better than adults. Teaching them, I like adults here, but teaching kids is just a lot easier than teaching grown-ups. I have 2 children, been married 19 years, so we've got 20 coming up next summer. My oldest is in 2nd grade, Josephine, and my youngest, Eleanor, is starting kindergarten this year. For those of you mathing, we empty nested for like the first 12 years of our marriage. Then, I know you think I look like so yeah, that's me. I'm happy to be here.
I am Shell. I think this is my 7th year. I've been in the 2s, and now I'm in the 3s. I'm single, so looking for my man.
Alright, Haley, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm Kaylee. I was born and raised here and passed by Creek Hall all the time. Lived in Creek Hall forever, so I'm so happy to be here. It's my first year here. But I've taught 3 or 4 years at Lipscomb Academy in pre-K 4. So pre-K 4 is like where I'm home, bread and butter, so that's good. I've been married to Grant for 5 years, and we have a little boy named Truett who's gonna be here in 2s. And we'll be, yeah, he's a Mitchell boy for sure. And we'll be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm really excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm also brand new here, brand new teaching here, teaching period, but very excited to be here. I have 2 kids, Kate and Evie. Kate is starting 2nd grade at Trinity down in Franklin, and Evie will be here in one of the other wonderful pre-K classes. I've been married to Jay for 13 years.
I'm Becca. I live 2 turns from here, thank God. We would never make it. This is my 3rd year here. I have 3 boys that are all here. I don't know, they started, they were so little. They're big. One will be in pre-K, and then I have twins that are in the 3s. Yeah, Wes is my husband. He's great. I love it.
You're like, so
there's all
Have another kid.
Yeah. But that's it.
Yeah.
I taught for a long time, like, in Metro, and then had kids, and so this is like,
What did
my
you
sweet spot.
before?
3rd and 4th.
Okay. I didn't know that.
With Mackenzie.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So, that's me.
I remember being so impressed when you see.
Oh God, it was a hot mess.
She's gonna work already.
I was impressed.
It's a really, really great spot.
I'm Brittany, this is my 6th year here. I've been married 19 years. I have 2 children, one going into 7th grade at Jubilee Academy, and then my daughter who's going into 5th grade will be the death of me at Middle Tennessee Christian School, so.
You're also
Yeah, 19 years.
Wow. Oh yeah, you did start with that.
19
I
years.
blocked
And I haven't killed him either. Both of them have been my bane of my existence this summer, so I'm glad to be back.
How long have you been here?
6 years.
I'm Marissa. I have a different kind of role here. I started here, I met Shelly because she was kind enough to let the state allow inside services, and so I was here to help a little boy, and then got a good rapport with Shelly. I went to school, I do behavior mostly, I'm a behaviorist, and then this year was graciously asked to teach pre-K, so I did, yes. I love this group of women. I have 2 kids. Rocco is sad he's not here. He told me this morning that this was his school and I shouldn't be here, he should. I know, he's really sad about it. He's not really excited to go to a new place. And then he's starting at Sunset, and then Autumn is finishing at Trinity. This is her last years of there, 5th grade, and then I've been married. This August will be 11th year. So.
I'm Michelle. I think it's my around 5 years, something like that. But I'm the oddball in the bunch. I have a 30-year-old on the 8th and an 11-year-old starting Croft, which I'm very sad about. I'm excited but sad. I don't like big milestones. I know how fast they go. Been married for a long time, as you can guess, and I teach pre-K. I don't know. I think that's it.
All right, and our 2s. All right, Rachel, if you'll start.
Yeah, hey, I'm Rachel, and I have 4 kiddos. Cam, who's going into 8th grade, Harper, who's gonna be 6th, Riley, 5th, and then Finley, who will be here. And she's 5, they go all go to King's Academy, but 5th she'll get to be in Michelle's class, or 5, sorry. 5th grade, 5 years old, it's like the same. I've been married, I think this will be 17, I think. We have a wild Frenchie mix wedding as well. Yeah, I'll be with the 2s, with my new friend, Sarah. So, happy to be here.
I'm Sarah, better known as Orion's mom. I mean, honestly.
Did you have a name?
I do, but I also answer to Orion's mom. This is my first year teaching. Teaching is actually really brand new to me. I spent my first half of my life as a scientist at Vanderbilt. And then I had a baby and became allergic to the science I was doing, and so I had to stop doing it. So I'm now a stay-at-home mom who gets to teach. And I've been married 12 years to someone that I've known since 6th grade, but we didn't start dating till like much later. But yes, our churches played each other basketball. We went to school together. He lived right here on Blackman. Went here actually as yeah, it's been here a while. Full circle.
Yes. What was the science that you did? You were
I did neuroscience and I studied, we used the mouse model, and I became allergic to mice while I was pregnant, so, and it just got worse. So I was eventually like having to wear like the full on like biohazard suit you see like during COVID, and so, yeah, it wasn't something I could do anymore.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm Lindsay. I have 12-year-old Eleanor at Ballard. She's going into 7th grade, is that right? Ballard Voyager. I had twins here that graduated this past year, and they're going to Creve Hall. And they've had several teachers in here. Miss Caitlin, I think, for the longest time. And then Sebastian has worked with Miss Marissa, and she helped him a great deal, and they really just grown so much here. I love what this program has done for them, so I'm excited to be here. I think this is my 3rd year, maybe. And I'm in the 2s. I started in the 2s. I'm still changing diapers, and you know, it's not too terrible. But what else? Yeah, we live close by Ellington Agricultural Center, so it's not too far. And that's about it.
I'm Gracie. I've been here, but like not here. I go to church over there. Newish here. I'm not married. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Holding out for Justin Bieber.
Hey.
Do you have children?
No.
Not yet.
I'm Julia. I'm Harper's mom. Harper, this is her 4th year here, and my boys are coming too, Lachlan and Roy. They're probably going to be very loud in whatever class they're in, so they're too. This is my 1st year here, 1st year teaching. I've never taught before, but I'm excited. And then I've been married to my husband Brady for 7 years.
I'm Amy. My daughter went here. She is in 7th grade at Lipscomb Academy. I have taught off and on for 20-something years. Married for 16 and a half years, and just happy to be back.
Yay. I'm Danielle. This is my 2nd year here, ironically, because I was looking for something to help with my son moving out last year, and he just moved home 2 days ago. No longer that. I've got Luna as well, who'll be in the 4s. She'll be 4. She'll be 5. But hopefully I'm doing shoes and hopefully still Spanish this year. So, I've been married 9 years. Oh yeah.
The other kid at our house. Yeah.
I just don't think you're the men listen to us right now.
I know. Well, and I am recording it, so I might need to send it to all of our families except for yours, because I don't want Tony to know that he was close to death. Not your Tony, her Tony, Brittany's. Yeah.
I was like,
My
Tony is very well known.
Yeah. We'll keep it under wraps. Yeah.
He knew this morning when I left the door.
All right, there's not going to be a quiz on whose name is what, because that was very quick. But as we do go through this week, you're going to get to know each other a little bit better. So when we are done with the meeting, we're going to collect all of our stuff, because tomorrow I'm going to have you not sitting in your age groups, so you can get to know other people that are down the hallway too. So that'll help too. Okay, today I'm going to try and go as quickly as I can to get this done. Not that it's not important, but a lot of it is common sense, but yet rules and regulations through state has to be known, because they could shut us down. And so if you will open up your notebooks, the very first section is the rules and regulations. This notebook is yours that you can keep. You can make notes in it if you need to. And not everything in this applies to us because there are drop-in centers, there are home care centers. We are the child care center. So when we go through this, like page 1, page 7 up on the PowerPoint, I've put the page numbers so that you'll see where I'm going. Yep, I tried to make it to where it was like user-friendly. So the purpose is listed there, and then what we had to do to get an application is there, and it just kind of explains why. It's not just them throwing out, you need to do this, they give a reason why. The name to face that we have to do is because a child was most likely left in a room on a playground, was able to get out of the building, and there was no record or no acknowledgement of that child not being with the group they were supposed to be with, so now everybody has to do the name to face. Safety purposes, completely understand it, but Jacobia or Holly or whoever our state program evaluator, it might be, because it's supposed to rotate every 3 years, and we have had one just about new every year. And that's okay because they grow to love us, and they have all come through and said that if they had children this age, they would want their children to be enrolled in our program, which speaks highly of you because what they see you doing in the classrooms. So they would be sitting at the tables when this wall is up. We'd have tables for us to work on, and they will see the teachers leaving for the playgrounds and not doing name to face. We get written up when that doesn't occur. So just be mindful that when you do bring your class out of the room to go to the playroom, you bring them out to go to the playground, go to the gym, wherever you're going out of your room, name to face has to be done. Going into this room to the playground, and it's constant. I think last year Jesse had a song, and so the kids would sing the song and they would know the order and who was absent. So just know that that's a very important aspect of state's rules and regulations. We are licensed to have 99 children a day. We don't have that because we don't use the playroom as a classroom. We've got 9 classrooms, 3 2-year-old classrooms, 3 3s, 3 pre-K. So we don't have the spacing for 99, but we can go up to 99 should we ever need to, and we don't need to. We are 5 hours in operation, which means that we have to have 40 minutes of gross motor play that's on the big playground, or if the weather is not allowing us to go outside because of either too hot, too cold, or rainy, then indoor playroom, gross motor. They've got to run and jump and play, and that's got to be 40 minutes of that. And then we do ages 2 to 4, and some of them are 5. So their parents have to sign that kindergarten form release saying that I know my child should be in kindergarten, but they've got a late birthday and I don't want them to go yet, and that's the parent's right, but there's a form that goes with that. So 4 to 5. And then all of this is like in the handbook is what we're talking about. So the services that we provide, our address, everything has to be listed on our license. All right, on page 12. If we were to suspect that a staff member or a parent, not a parent, we would not give the children to the parent, but if a staff member or sub was to arrive and it would be suspicious that something is in their system, then a drug test, and it just states in the rules and regulations, here's what has to do. Can you put on okay, thank you. Because I want to try and get this done so we can have room. But while I'm saying that, she raised her hand, there's a parking lot, so if you've got any questions along the way, if you will write those down, back there is where you're going to turn those in. And the reason why is, if I'm distracted because shiny and sparkle distracts me like nobody's business, I might not get back on task. So knowing myself, if you've got any questions throughout, just write them down and we'll answer those. So thank you, Amy. Okay. So if there should be a need, state gives us the right to drug test. Mine will just be hormonal and menopause because I am clearly in it. So if I am acting off, it's because I'm crabby. I need to be sent back to the beach. So, okay. Parent communication and engagement, page 13. It lists out different areas that we are in need of communicating with the parents. We have got a behavior form that is in their take-home folders that I will pass out to you later this week. Everything over here is supplies that you need for this week, but we're not going to delve into that today because it's too much. But their behavior calendar is in the folders, And we'll discuss that a little bit more on Tuesday and Wednesday as to what that would look like and staying on tasks that the parents are communicated with behaviors. We have got to, releasing the children, being sure that we are giving them to the right person when they pick up, and that's something that when talking to the parents on Thursday, they've got to have their car rider tag if they come to the front door, and if they send a person that is not the parent, they've got to have the car, all the process regulations that we have to cover for them to pick up their child, our hours of operation, so everything is listed in their packet that they fill out per what state requires us to have listed for them. So, and we'll go over the parent handbook on Thursday with them so that they will know, like, when we're out of school. If it's Metro is closed for weather, we will close, unless, hear me say, if North Nashville is still under ice and snow, but we are clear, we will be in school. Our parents pay for school. So that's the only exception, is that if Metro is closed, we'll close that first day to see, and then we'll gauge to see what the surrounding area. So I've said this, but in the past I'll have that text, I thought we closed when Metro closed. Yes, but there's a contingency because our parents do pay for their services here, whereas Metro, it's within where they're zoned. So does that make sense? Okay. I would love to stay closed longer. I love having those snow days. We don't leave the house, but with the parents paying for school, then the board comes down on me and it's just, stress. Meal services, we provide snack and we list that on the application, but I also have a virtual tour that I have put on our website so that parents can see the building. We don't allow parents in the building during our school day, school year. They will get to come in on Thursday and Friday of this week. Monday, doors are locked, and that's for safety purposes, but you'll also see that when the parents are not in the building, the kids behave better. And I've had those parents in the past who will keep looking through the window and their kid sees them and starts crying again when they're fine, and it eggs them on, and I'll have to just be like, hey, so it's time for you to go to work. It's 10, it's 10 o'clock, go to work. So it's easier just to rip that Band-Aid off, do car rider line, and you'll be very amazed with how well it works, just shutting the door. And the parents appreciate it because then they don't have to worry about their kids screaming when they leave. Because, I mean, that is rip out your heart, get that. But I hope that they see in car rider line the kids jumping, skipping, doing cartwheels, coming in the building so excited. The days that they're not at school, they're asking can they come to school because they love the magic that's happening in this building. And again, that is you guys. You guys are creating that magic. We've got trainings that we have to do, and we don't care for infants, but yet we are required to take the trainings for SIDS and Shaken Baby. We will get to where abuse training is required, and I'll talk about that in a second when it pops up, so hold on. The aftercare that we offer, somebody at the door? No, okay, you guys all looked. That's okay, and I don't think I locked the doors back. Do you mind pushing the buttons over there? Just so that we are safe in here and nobody can just walk up. What happened? I noticed, I saw it, and the little doohickey on the bottom that stops it came off, and so that's what was blocking it. Yeah, so I saw it before Grady prayed, and I went and closed it. Okay, see, derailed. Okay, get back together with this. We have got early class and late class, and it's all associated right here with the phone number, so that's the early care. I think this is more specific for after-school care with school-age kids is what that's kind of going with. And then if parents ask to see our credentials, then I've got them on file in your folder so they can see that. Okay, the communication through Brightwell is key, and that's what's kind of included down here at the bottom on page 14. You guys are on the front lines. You are the ones that are in the classroom with the children, and any kind of information that needs to come through from you can be messaged to the parents on Brightwell. I'll explain to the parents that if they message just in general, then the teacher and then the front desk can see it, but if they go to admin, it's just the front desk that can see it. So if there is a question like, hey, what is, Lauren, I see your face, Lauren's favorite drink, then they're not gonna message so Lauren can see because they're wanting to bring in a drink and surprise Lauren. So it confuses the parents because a lot of times they will message on the admin side when a teacher needs to know, so then we'll just strongly suggest that they flip over to the other side and message. But you guys message, weekly, here's what we covered, your child did great, hey, can you help me with the behavior issue? Hey, your child got a scratch on them today, and I know they didn't walk in with it, but I wanted you to know before you picked them up. Communication is key, because with the parents not coming in the building, being able to send them pictures, which, phenomenal job doing that, it lets them feel like they're a part of their child's day, so that they can see the smile on their kids' faces, the artwork that the kids are doing, because when we don't allow them to come in, I don't want them feeling like we're keeping something secret from them, keeping something hidden. We need to just be where we can take pictures, and then we can send it to the parents at the end of the day and kind of give them a synopsis of the week, and here's what we're going to do this month, and we send a newsletter, and then the front desk will also send messages as well. But if there is, a child is sick, a child was injured, scratch, boo-boo, that comes from you guys first, and then we back it up. Okay. And the shot record, in their files, not shot record, the flu. In their files, they require us to give them information about the flu, the benefits of getting the flu. I don't do it because I was sick as a dog the one time I did. So I'll just take my chances because I don't end up as sick not getting the shot. But we are required to give them information that if you choose to do the flu shot, then here's what state gives them information-wise. That's in their file that they have signed, and that's something that the end of today or even tomorrow I'll need to go through and make sure that I've got the papers for everybody on file, because when they come in on Thursday, the parents who do not have all their forms, we've got to get those signed. But that's something that we'll take care of, so when they come in the door and before we have the parent meeting, we've already taken care of that. And we'll talk more about M&M Day after we get through this. We have a developmental checklist per what CDC guidelines are, and they are in these little totes under the bags, the school bags right here, the pink, green, and purple. Those are your beginning, middle, and end observations that you do for the children, what they can and cannot do, and how they grow throughout the year. But then there's also, well, that's the observation, and then there's a checklist that the parents were given so that they could see if their child is on task and maybe what they can and work on to get them to level, or if they're already on level, what they can work on to help them continue to grow. And that will move with the children as they grow from the 2s to the 3s to the pre-K here at the preschool. And let's see. Okay, we'll go through all the information that they need. We are required to do the trainings to help us with special needs. We don't have quote-unquote special needs that, like within Metro, they have got staff who are specialized in certain areas to help children who are struggling in certain areas. And we are not equipped with staff. So we've had diabetes, glasses, EpiPens, allergies that require that. Other than that, we do not have the special needs. But if we did enroll, then we would have more trainings available to us to help them with them. Autism is probably another one, but it would be at the beginning stages at this level to continue to see them growing. Okay, and then removal of children, we have got that behavioral contract where they get the 3 different strikes. And I think, like most of you have been on staff or are parents not coming in fresh to us. Haley, you might be the exception here, but what that looks like is in their folders, there's a written up, when your child is in this building, we expect X, Y, Z. And for the most part, they do. Because we are so great at acknowledging the positive and not so much focusing on the negative, so then the children are wanting that praise as well, that positive praise, which is beautiful, because if in the middle of the classroom, Julia's cleaning up her toys, I like the way I see Julia doing this. Well, Gracie's wanting that praise too, so she's going to do what she sees Julia doing. So being able to phrase it in a way helps you be proactive instead of reactive. I've heard that a lot lately in some of the trainings. But it lists out what our steps are for different strikes. We will use timeout, age appropriate, and if that doesn't work, then we will remove them, give them a chance to regroup, and then if that doesn't work, then we go to the front desk for help, and if that doesn't work, if it comes to me, then it's time for me to then call the parents to pick them up. So there's at least 3 different options through a day. And if that continues to where we're constantly timeout, redirect, front desk, timeout, redirect, front desk, then there's an issue. There's a pattern that we need to then meet with the parents. And last year we met with several of the parents, and it wasn't so much that their kids were demon possessed. It was just that they were. You laugh.
I believe it.
And I am being facetious, but anyway, there's a habit, a pattern that we need to get with the parents, because if they're doing it here, they're doing it 10 times, 20 times worse at home. And so helping the parents at home redirect the behavior so that then our goal is when they go to kindergarten, whatever school they're going to, they're gonna be like, oh, that was a Creve Hall kid? I want that Creve Hall preschool kid, because they have been well balanced while they were in this building. Okay, so posting required around the water fountain, our license, the fire drills, our insurance, no smoking, no vaping. I'm trying to think what else is around the water fountain right there. We have to have it posted so that when parents do come in the building, they can see that it is posted. Every classroom around the phone has got what state requires us to have. And years ago, there would be a paper in a cabinet, and one would be under the cabinet, one would be in the bathroom, and it was all over the place. So when state would come in, each room was set up differently based off of what you guys would want for your cabinets. And we started thinking about that 2 years ago, 2 years ago. We were like, it would be easier if when Jacobia, who is our state program evaluator, when she comes in, if she goes to one central location and she sees the same thing. The same thing is around all of the phones in every classroom, so don't move those, please, because when she comes in and says, hey, have you got your lesson plans? They're on a hook. You can just grab them and let her see them. And it is a loose interpretation of what you guys have kind of mapped out. Mackenzie, our curriculum coordinator, has mapped out per theme, per age group to then build on. And then the 10 elds are listed in there. She had smoke coming out of her ears, and I think lots of Starbucks. Well, that's on a regular day. It's lots of Starbucks. But then I think I got an IV of Starbucks for you. But she went through the 10 elds and put those numbers there. Jacoby is not going to look at those, but job well done.
She's gonna look at them.
Okay. Sit down and look at these numbers. Yeah, she won't have a clue what you're asking. 10 elds? What are 10 elds? Okay, I'm joking, Jacoby. Okay, so everything that's listed around the phone. Oh, I'm very aware that everything I'm saying is being recorded. Kristen will have to watch this later, and I don't know that I'm gonna let Jacoby watch it. Great job, sis. Great job. But the sleep, we don't have infants, but yet, there's a safe sleep that's in there. You can't use the sleep sacks, and the educator A is sitting at the table. What's beautiful about the twos, and what I'm trying to do with the 3 staff members that we still have to hire, is that there's going to be 2 eyes. You're not going to be alone with those little squirrels climbing all over the counters. So that's what's beautiful, because they're a little bit more manageable, and then it's a fun world because you can kind of interact and mess with them as they learn. So that was my goal. So everything that is on the walls around the phones needs to stay there. I'm gonna pause for a second because, again, sparkles, glitters, and all the things. When school let out in May, there was a group who came, and we spackled the walls, we sanded the walls, and we repainted the walls. Every classroom looks fresh and amazing. And then after the classrooms were done, because we started our summer session in June, the hallway was then taken care of. And so kudos to those ladies who refreshed and facelift. If you do need a professional painter and OCD, right here, Jamie. She's got her own tub of supplies. Yeah. She was like, hey, do you have? I said, no. She goes, that's right, I got it. So it was, and it looks amazing. So saying that, as you put decor and things on your wall, be mindful that if you pull any of it off, I'm just kidding. It will happen. Just let us know so we can go ahead and repair it, because it was 11 years of it needed a facelift. It looked like me going to the dermatologist, because there's like 5 different places cut on my face.
not to, but I've noticed that most of the teachers, and if you've worked in another classroom before, they use hot glue, and it doesn't peel the paint off the walls. So if you use hot glue on your wall, it should be okay.
On
I don't
drywall?
wanna say that, Gary,
Okay,
but I
interesting.
know
That was
it's
least
amount of
damage.
Interesting.
Yes, so everything that you can hang, if you do it, it should just come right
Well,
off.
I learned something new today. Today has not been wasted. It's only 10:15. Okay, well, that's fantastic, thank you. Okay, so kudos to those that came and helped with the classrooms, because we were putting posters over like the big chunks that were where the drywall had been taken off. So just be careful when putting stuff back on there. Okay, items that must be accessible. And this goes back into what is hanging around the phones, because it is the weekly menu is your snack. We don't provide lunch for them, they bring in their own lunch, but we provide the snack. Your schedule, okay, we'll get to the reporting child abuse, and then our emergency procedures, we're going to do that a little bit later today, and then a little fun game of sorts tomorrow. And then our emergency drills, we'll go over those, so that has to be posted on there. It's very redundant, so I apologize for that, but yet, if a child needs to be removed from our preschool for whatever reason, here's the steps that have to be taken, and that you've got to talk to the parents about it, and then explain to them, here's what's going on, but that's where the behavior chart in their, or the behavior form in their folder comes in. But I have also, after M&M Day, made a phone call to some parents that we observed their child, and like the mom was doing everything for them, we're not equipped for their level of education needed at their age, and so I gave them access to Metro. I know I'm like stumbling on my words here trying to figure out how to say it. Metro has got an early education program that then they can enroll in, because they also had translators too that would help them. So I don't just close the door, I try everything that I can to find them a home as I am helping them exit. So okay. Our responsibility for our staff, you guys are all qualified and capable because you are loving women. And that's what, at the end of the day, loving on these babies is the biggest key. Everything else will fall into place, but nurturing and loving on these children, and that's what makes you capable, because you guys are very loving women. Annual evaluations, I'm not very good at this. It's required that we do this, and so I'll probably ask the front desk to help me with that. But I also, the walls have ears, and I can also hear and see down the hallway. So if there was to ever be an issue, I would meet with individuals to then discuss, a game plan of moving forward to help, whatever. But I don't see that would be an issue this year. I hope it's not, but it would just be an evaluation in your file that, says that I have observed you with the children and that everything is running smoothly. Okay. Again, the qualifications for what you guys are to do each day, and that you are able to perform your duties. That's where the physical comes into play too, because the doctor, like if you can't lift a certain amount of pounds, or mentally, all the things that go and encompass you being capable of doing that. Mentally, emotionally, well, that takes me out. Can't tell you how many times I've gone to the doctor recently, so, okay. Let's go to the next one. So prior to, and that's what this week is for, is that come Monday, when the children are in your classrooms, all of this has to be taken care of. Your job description, which we will cover Tuesday, Wednesday. The procedures that we have to do, the behavior management, the reporting of child abuse. So all of these we're going to be covering this week while we are in our in-service, so that then you'll be prepared Monday to start with the children, and that we have covered everything that state requires us to cover. And there's folders for you guys with the papers that you need to sign, but again, we are just quickly going through this so that we can get into our classrooms and get started on our week. Let's see, training and, okay, so most of you, and I need to print the trainings off of 10LD or 10PAL for you guys, because those who have not taken the trainings prior to starting school on Monday, we need to make sure that those are done this week. Most of you have, and then The ones that are not met, we need to make sure that those are done by September first, no later, because I think that the licensing period is up September 30th, but if we set the goal for the first,
Right.
hear me say, everything I am saying to you, I am saying it to myself in a mirror first. I am always going to be first in line, forgetting something, picking up something, so when I say it, I'm saying it to myself first. So we can hopefully get the trainings done by the time that they're supposed to be done, but if my goal is September 1st, no exceptions, then maybe Shelley will get it done, so. Yeah, but there's before you begin, there is the SID, shaken, the child abuse, the suspecting child abuse. So all of those are on Pro Solutions and CCR&R. And if you don't have those links to start those trainings, then I can send you the links. Pro Solutions is free, should not have to pay for any of the trainings that are on there. We host CPR and first aid training. I think next year, 2027, it will be in November. This year, it will be December, yes. But I think next year it's like the end of November. I think they've already scheduled it. So mine expired in June, along with the grouping of us. We're going to wait until it's here, because what I would love is that we have a December, a November or December, and then it's every other year here, instead of, because we were in Cool Springs in June, and then somebody was in I think you went to Mount Juliet, yeah? So if we can keep it here, you do wherever you wanna go. If it's closer for you to go somewhere else, just know that we will host it here December 5th on site, yes. And once that becomes available to register, I'll send you the link and we'll get registered, so, okay. And, next page, training, okay. License rules and regulations, there is a training that will go through this with you, but we can mark this off on our list as well. There's a listing of the trainings that we're required to do. Fingerprints, we're all fingerprinted and finally have it all accomplished. California was a bit of a headache. But it's okay, because she said it was a closed state, and then I dropped the ball on following through with that. But we are all fingerprinted, we are all ready to go. And I have got the shot records on my desk, and I have messaged the ones that are still lacking and sending those to us. So we're making sure that we've got everything on file so that when we start school on Monday, we can just start school instead of chasing parents. So when they come in the building, we're gonna have a checklist of, hey, we need you to do this, hey, we need you to call right now and tell them to fax it to us. There's going to be like a checklist so that when they walk in, we know what they are still expecting, what we need from them. On Brightwell, the documentation that is listed here, on Brightwell, it is beautiful because it's like a text message without texting. You are not required, and I strongly advise you not to share your number with the parents, because Friday night at 9 o'clock, hey, my kid's sick. What, is there any other cases? And you're on your own home time. So I was talking to Ray probably a year ago. Ray's my husband. I was talking to him about a year ago. I was like, hey, so you're like, why? And he goes, people just think and immediately text. They don't think, oh, it's Friday night at 11. They just, it's in my brain, and I need to do, and I'm guilty of it too. I'll look at the clock before I'll send something in the mornings, because if it's before 8 o'clock, that's not nice. But they don't really, and a grandparent got my number a couple of years ago and called me asking about hand, foot, and mouth, and it was a Friday night at 9 o'clock. And I said, I'm sorry, who are you? And why are you calling me while it's 9 o'clock on a Friday? And I don't know how she got my number, but her child was showing symptoms of, and asked if there were any other cases. It's gonna happen. We, getting back together in the classrooms, we're going to start sharing things. We're very good at sharing, and so we've got diffusers that are down the hallway in each classroom. We have got oils that we can use, and I keep grape juice stocked because the acidity in the grape juice kind of helps if you catch it in time, stomach bugs. So we try to be proactive instead of reactive, because at 54, throwing up every 2 hours for 12 hours is not fun. It is I've gotten to where I'll just go to a trash can and not the toilet, because it's too hard to get back up from the toilet. So, and Ray questioned me, okay, anyway. So, Brightwell is a fantastic way to communicate with the parents about the different things. You know, diapers and snack and eating and nap is heavily needed in the twos. and not so much in the threes and definitely not in the pre-K. But giving the parents a heads up that, hey, here's what we covered. So just making sure that we are communicating through Brightwell. When you are watching children and you are in charge of, like if you're in the classroom, don't do it then. But wait till you are either nap time, when you know that the kids are asleep, or if you're on the playground and you've got extra eyes that, hey, I need to send this quick message to the parent. When we do have the parent meeting in here on Thursday, I will let them know, because there's one that it's, like, she keeps her phone, like, right there. It's like, okay, no, we're taking care of your children. Do you really want me to be on the phone texting you while I should be watching your child? So I'm gonna let them know in a kind way, not a crabby way, that while we are here and watching your children, we're not going to be texting you on Brightwell. Yeah, and if there is a question that needs to be answered immediately, front desk can see them and we can either come check or watch your room, send a floater in there so that you can respond to them. So there are situations where it would need to be quicker, but then there are situations where, just calm down a little bit, so. You'll figure out who real quick. Real quick. State record requirements, let's see what this says. Okay. Staff records are in my office and they have to list all of these different information. And she will pull the new staff to make sure that we've got everything on task in your files. And so the teacher's application has a lot of this information. Your fingerprints will already be in there, your W-4, there's direct deposit. I would strongly encourage you to do that if you haven't already set that up. But that is all, well, it's right here for me to go over and make sure that we're not missing anything, and then it will be in my office. Along with the student files, they'll be in that cabinet in my office too. And again, here's what's needed to be listed in the staff files. Okay, incident reports. If there is a child that comes in and they've got a scratch, a black eye, whatever, because something has happened at home, we're making note of it, in that they walked in with that mark, that injury, that boo-boo. So it didn't happen while they were here. If something does happen while we're here, which is gonna happen, it's just the way that, the world is. Let me get back up. Okay, scoot across, ice skating. Oh, it's a little too high. Okay. If something does happen, I guess I could lower it. Okay, maybe hit the ground now. If that does happen, then we've got the injury forms here. We can put a form like this in your observation bucket so you've got it readily available, but these 3 folders will be in the workroom, so where the sink is and over, like closest to the laminator. You'll see them, they're kind of on their side because there's also tools that are up there as well. Our oils are on that shelf, so if, let's say that, Shelley was being really adventurous, which is not like her, and she jumped off the rock and fell and hit her head in mulch, just like you filleted off layers of her skin. We need to notify Shelley's parents that, hey, she was kind of brave today and didn't make a good choice, and here's what happened. Because there's always a why to why we do things. Years and years and years ago, my cousin's son is 30, and he was at a childcare right down the road. She went to pick him up, and he had run on the playground, fallen, and like just scuffed his face up. I mean, his face, I didn't see it, but she had said that the mulch had just scratched up his face. Well, they didn't call and notify her. So when she picks up her kid, and he's got this on his face, she's like, I don't know that I want to send him back. So, any mark that is big and visible, bruising, rash, whatever, take a picture of it, send it, hey, I just want you to know this happened. Maybe something they got into out on the playground or they jumped off the rock. Anything that they do not come in with, we need to make sure that the parents know, because they will then see that you are taking care of their child to the best of your ability. And then if we do send that note to them, then we fill out the accident report, which is just explaining the details of what happened, who saw it, contact, and then this needs to be photocopied, a form sent home in their folder, and then one kept here, because if we send the original home, Shelly's gonna misplace it. So make the copy, and then we'll leave it up here, the wall hanger that's right beside my door, that's right there, that's empty. I need everybody to take a note and notice that it's empty right now. You're welcome. It's not gonna stay that way. But the original goes there, the copy goes home for them to sign. When the copy comes back, then we'll put it in their file stating that we had that. And then there's also a record on Brightwell. If something serious happens, I don't know how many years ago it was, but we had a seizure happen. They had come in from the playground. It was hot. She sat on the cold seat, had a seizure. We handled it beautifully. I'm gonna try not to cry because it is incredibly stressful. Let me take a sip and regroup. Hold on. Stressful to have something happen to a child while they're in your care, especially with that, because you can't stop a seizure. But Cheryl grabbed her. Okay, I need there to be stops. I'm gonna slide across the best we can. Cheryl picked her up, came to the door. I need help. Mandy was walking down the hallway. She yells, call 911. Now here's the little side of sarcastic humor. Donna was at the front desk, and she picks up the phone and she dials 911. You've got to dial 9 to get out. So she's like, "Where is it? That's going? What is it?" And like panicked. And then I've got goosebumps even thinking about it. So we figured out, you got to dial 9 to get out, and then 911. So Mandy has got the child, and she's over at my office. Donna is calling 911. She's not. She's going on to kindergarten too. So I called the parents, and the parents couldn't get here immediately, but they sent some neighbors, and then so we all collected here. The fire station is right here, 27. I mean, immediately. And that's what's so great about it, is that they were the guys that have come and done the fire trucks in the back parking lot, so they knew us from coming to do the community helpers in the end. Handled it great, and I didn't do this because, you put me in a stressful situation, I'm gonna handle it like it, but then I fall apart afterwards. So as soon as they were like, okay, and we're gonna take her home, and I was like, and I lost my mind. Well, then I had to do, okay, so that form is this. That's serious injury. Yep, so it was a seizure, or if like there's a broken arm, if there's a reason why we need to call 911, then this form is what needs to be filled out. So then I had to then go on to our tngov.gov, the website, whatever. So here's our forms, and they're going to be above the counter there. I had to post this on the tn.gov website, and then Jacobia came the next day, and she interviewed me, she interviewed Cheryl, Mandy, Donna, and she was like, you guys did everything you were supposed to do. And I was like, and I lost it again. Okay, so in an emergency situation, we passed. And that was beautiful because we had not been put to the test with anything like that before. Should we have to in the future, you've got your injury, accident, serious injury reports, and then we've got the medical forms for EpiPens. I had several this summer look over the applications to just double check to make sure for any kind of allergies. And we do have an EpiPen, and I need to go through it today or tomorrow to then see what we do and do not have for those kiddos too. So that's what that is. Incident reporting. Parents need to be notified, and then the form needs to be copied, sent home for a signature, and then put in the child's file, and then praying that then nothing serious happens, because that's the worst feeling. So, but if we are diligent in our zones on the playground, then keeping Shelly from jumping off of the rock because she's a doofus and she's like bottom heavy and is gonna fall, then you can be proactive instead of reactive. Okay, incident reporting continued. That just shows what's on the form that needs to be filled out, and then again continued. If we do call 911, we have to fill out the form, then I have to do it on the website for Jacobia to come make an appearance. Okay, Bailey, that didn't do well, sorry. So if you are suspecting that there is any type of abuse within the family, the home life of these children, we're very blessed, but that does not mean that something could or could not be happening. It is your responsibility as an educator to report suspicion. You do not have to tell me. You do not have to ask me. You do not have to talk it over with me. It is your obligation if you suspect something is off. If you keep seeing bruises that look like fingerprints that, you know, just time after time after time. If they are saying something that might be a little off, you're not to question the kid, to kind of feed them the answers. And it lists here on page, is that 37 to 39? Yeah, what steps you are to go through. And there's a abuse hotline posted around every one of the phones for you to call. Years ago, there was a staff member that was down the hallway, and she's not here now, but something was off with the family. And she was talking to me about it, and I said, well, you know what? It's not gonna hurt to call, let's just call. So I put it on speaker, and she explained to them, here's what is being said, here's what's being done, here's the child's reaction to different things. And they then can take it and continue to pursue looking into that, or they can say there's not enough evidence, and that's up to you. You've then passed it on. You've done your due diligence because you have reached out to the people that are in charge of following through. It's not our job to follow through, but to continue to monitor and adjust, and if it does become more of an issue, to then keep after and say, hey, they're still saying the same things, but you do not have to ask me, you do not have to notify me. This is something that is anonymous and that you as an educator, you are required to do. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, and it just lists on those pages kind of what to look for. Supervision, we do not take children that are younger than like 15 months old we made an exception for some because if they have a September, October, November birthday, I was not going to make them wait another full year. So our youngest class may have some that are a little bit younger, but we don't take them at 6 weeks. Because that's a whole different ballgame, and that's a whole different scale of state requirements that we would have to meet, and it's no. So 2 is fun and 2 is fine. And then we go up to the 4 or 5 age. It talks about what you are required to do as a staff member. You've got to be supervising at all times. I have done attendance. I've walked into rooms and I've had staff members, they're no longer here. Not because I let them go, but they would be scrolling through Facebook while their kids were playing in centers. That's a no-no. Please don't be on your phone. Last year was an issue, and I made several blanket statements. And I went to the person who was FaceTiming while in class, someone else, and then I had someone who was actually doing her grocery order. Please don't do that. If you want to see me mad, that's one way to make me mad. You are in charge of the children. You should be watching the children, and if you are on your phone, you're not able to watch the children. State requires it. It's not just Shelley saying it. It is that state requires it. Please do not be on your phone. And it's so easy. It is so easy for you to just pull it out. Take a picture. And yes, message the parents. Don't be on Facebook or Instagram. Don't be FaceTiming. Don't be doing your grocery order. We good? Okay. Okay, so as we do, and we'll talk more about this either Tuesday or Wednesday depending on how we go, because I think we're going very well right now. How when we do drop off in the morning, staff will stand at the doorways to greet the kids, and that's what, you know, sight and sound at all times. Nap time, making sure that they can be seen, and again, we're not taking young children, so it'll be a little bit easier than it would be if they were infants. Let's see. Need to make sure that as we are different areas like this right here, visual inspection of the building, if you see broken toys, go ahead and just take them to the dumpster, but make me a list because I can purchase them and replenish if they do get broken. Wear and tear, it's gonna happen. But if they could go ahead and be taken to the dumpster, because what's happened in the past is they're thrown over the fence, well then I don't know what's going on, and I throw them back over, and it's just a back and forth, just the dumpster's right there. Just go ahead and take them, and then just leave me a note, hey, we need another bubble lawnmower, hey, we need another blah, 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 and I can make sure they get that. The name to face is going to come into play here because if any child is left unattended anywhere, whether it be in the classroom, on the playground, then we get written up. So we have to make sure that we're doing name to face so that we know that the children are with us as we are leaving one area to the other. That they're not left in the, and years ago we were in the church building, and so we would leave the church building, walk down the sidewalk to the playground. I left a kid in the adults down the hallway, but she was in there just a singing. And I just walked out with the class, didn't even pick up on the fact that there was still, you know, cause we were starting to sing as we were journeying out the door. But name to face wasn't into play there. I would've gotten in trouble. Yeah, I should have gotten in trouble. As children are being released, either with car rider line in the afternoons, parents are required to have their car rider tags in the car. And that makes sure that we give the right child to the right car. If they dismiss early, then parents meeting, I'm going to let them know that they have to have their car rider tag. If they send a grandparent or a babysitter, then giving that car rider tag to that adult gives them permission. Because the car rider tags are in their possession, but then they're handing it off to who is going to come pick up, so that's their permission. We can check license and ID if they come early, if it's a grandparent, a babysitter, someone that's like, hey, we're in visiting and we're family, we can check. But they, most times, parents will message on Brightwell, excuse me, and they'll let us know, so-and-so is coming in to pick up my child today, and we'll say, have the car rider line tag, and then license with them as well. We have not had an issue with someone showing up acting off. We have, I will take that back. There was a truck that many times we would open up the door and be like, hey, like we would feel it. We probably shouldn't have given him to his parent, because he sat in the car rider line for a while and relaxed. So we won't do that this year. He's not here. He's, I think, probably second grade now. But yeah, if we sense that something's off, then we can not give them their child. Okay, but they have to have their car rider tag with them. Even the families that we do start to know, we're going to make sure that that's the case, because it might be somebody different that is at the front desk that might not know them. I know, like Stacy was making a comment, I think last year, that you're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so if you were subbing on a Tuesday, Thursday, she didn't know those parents, and so it was hard for her to know which kid, and I think it was something loosely along those lines. But there's different staff, there's subs that don't know, and so having the car rider tags will help. Signing in and out, we've got to get the parents to do a better job of checking in and out on Brightwell, because state requires it to be the parents, and there's questions that the parents have to click that their child is fever-free, symptom-free for the 48 hours, and then they sign it before checking them in. When state does come by for a visit, then I have to print the attendance for a period of time. And if she sees that either you guys or Shelley Walden has checked these kids in, then we kind of, get a little, hey, you need to make the parents do it. So when they come in on Thursday, there's gonna be a QR code for them to check in, and we're gonna get them in that habit and just simply say, you need to be the ones that do it. You've got to check your kids in. If when we finish car rider line in the mornings and the doors close, I'm gonna come down the hall, Tracy or Mackenzie will come down the hall, one of it will do attendance as the children come in, just making sure that they are checked in. When the doors close, if the children are not here, they're going to be marked absent, so go ahead and just mark them absent, because our goal is to get the parents as ready for kindergarten as we can the kids. And when the parents are late dropping their kids off for kindergarten, truancy comes into effect for them in kindergarten, not here. But if we can get them to where they are starting to go, oh, they've already marked them absent, the doors are closed, I need to get there, 9:30? I get it, because you get busy at home and you get distracted, and you might have a bit of a drive, so that's fine. But when the doors close and we do attendance, if the children are not here, we're gonna mark them absent. Some parents will do that, in that they were like, hey, we're not gonna be here, Thursday, Friday, because we're going on a trip or whatever, and they'll mark them absent, which is great, because then it shows that the parents did it. But if the parents don't do it, just go ahead and hear me say, when I start walking down the hallway, those kids are absent. Okay, and it shows that they were not here. So when I print the attendance sheet for Jacobia, she'll see that they were or were not here. So, okay, so signing in and out, strongly encourage that they do the above. Meal and slack, okay. So when we have had, so Jacobia had twins, and she had someone covering her area for like a good 6 months or whatever, and so the people that came in when they observed, and I may have been here, it might have been consignment cell. I was,
Yeah, you was concerned.
okay, because I ended up calling about Stephanie afterwards, because Stephanie came in, and we've got a great program, but I think that she was a little upset that she was having to take on more than she was supposed to be taking on because she was covering for someone. But I was over there, and when I came back over to do car rider line, I was like, what happened? Well, Stephanie goes into the rooms and either snack or lunch, sitting at the table. You know, yes, a teacher was reading a book to the class while they're eating. Stephanie takes said book out of the teacher's hand and says, you can't read to them while they're eating, okay? She could have, I agree, she could have handled it a little bit differently, because that wasn't just the only thing that Stephanie did or did not say. It was multiple things, yes, it was, yes.
She was like, nuts in this, no cut up grapes, cherries over,
Choking
you can't have that. And I was like, all the kids were staring at her, and I was like, that's fine, everyone just take a deep breath. It was a
Well, and the kids were then terrified to eat.
Yeah.
So when I came back,
and just
exactly, yeah. But see, she handled it aggressively wrong. And what you guys will start to find out about me is that I'm aggressively passive instead of passive aggressive, because I immediately called Stephanie's supervisor and said, hey, I want to let you know of a visit that we just had. And here's what my teachers just said, because I was doing this, that, and the other, and I came back and I mean, like, every one of my staff members just said, you know, and I explained to her what was done. There's a way to go about doing it. You could have been easily said, hey, these kids can't, because we don't control what the parents pack. If their kids are gonna eat it, then they're gonna pack it. Unless it is a choking hazard, and that's something that we'll go over on Thursday with the parents too. But she could have easily said, hey, you can't read a book while doing that. Makes sense to read a book because they're distracted with this, but I understand what she was saying. As you're reading the book and looking at it like this, your class is eating, and if you're laughing and doing something while I'm looking at this book and I turn around and you're choked and passed out on the floor, I'm missing it. Get it? We have got, shot record. Mark's one off my list. So over here, under the, like behind the iPad that's recording, hey girl, hey, there are books on CD. Not every room is equipped because we've got smart TVs. Those can't be on while they're eating either. I'll get to that in a second. But I would always play a CD, hold the book while watching them. So I was eating, they were distracted listening to the book, but I was able to watch while turning the pages. So that's doable. If you have your smart TV on with music playing, you've got to cover up the TV, because if the kids are distracted watching the TV, they're not eating. So the TVs cannot be on while eating, and you can't be reading a book, but they can be listening to something. TV has to be covered, or it has to be a CD. And who knows, they'll come in, and I might be wrong about that, but it just makes sense to have something playing, having conversations, instilling like continued education with them, that you're discussing different things. STARS used to come through before QRIS took over. QRIS, it's a rating system that they'll come in and they will rate our preschool based off of the 4 visits that they have. Years ago, it used to be that one day was set aside. Yeah, Stacy's already starting to shake. I think I've seen breaking out in the house. One day was set aside, and we were evaluated and rated on that one day. Maybe I didn't sleep well because of stress of the fact that this is going to happen tomorrow. Maybe the kids were, they can sense it and they were off. You just have to adjust and monitor and adjust and move on it. But STARS, they would pick 4 classrooms, and there would be a lady with a clipboard, and she would kind of stand in the corner, and she would verbatim what was said, what was done, and write it down, and then grade us based off of that. There was one year that a teacher had a group and they were doing water play at the table, and it was great, but she turned and looked at this kid. Well, this kid spit in the water. Awesome. She didn't see it, but it was written down because, you know, she's standing over here going, child spit in the water. I don't know how they were able to record all of the things verbatim, unless they were recording it on their phone or something, to then later go back and do it. But it's not as stressful as that, because it was 4 of the 5 hours, and then after they had observed you all day, writing down everything that you did or did not do, because you're thinking, what did I just say? Why are they writing? Why won't they stop writing? And then they ask you questions about what you do and do not do. So COVID helped with that because they couldn't come in to do STARS when we were all wearing masks. And then I think because they realized that we can still function okay without having to go through STARS, that the QRIS rating system worked well. Is he bringing you coffee? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, so cannot read books, cannot have the TV on. If you do play the TV with music, just make sure that you're covering it. Okay, so there's that. And mealtime supervision plan is on the walls. There's also a picture of Educator A sitting at the table. When you do sit down, 2's not so much, won't be an issue because you've got the 2 people per classroom, but 3's in pre-K. When you do sit down to eat lunch with them, make sure you've got your walkie, you've got a water replacement, everything that you need, because if they are to make an unannounced and come during a mealtime, you getting up and leaving the table is a no-no. So if you do need to get up to leave the table for whatever reason, call for a floater to stand at your door to come in, bring you whatever is needed. So just make sure that you use which, did you notice that your walkies have your room numbers on them? And the floaters? Yeah. Because I lay mine down and forget where I put it all the time. And then some will be hanging in the wall, on the walls in the afternoons, and I don't know where they go. So now we'll know who's not putting theirs back. I wasn't gonna say your name.
It's me!
Wasn't gonna say your name. And you're not the reason why, because I'm, again, first one in line, because I would take the front desk and or the side door or whatever, and then I'd be like, well, where did mine go? And I like eat them for lunch, so. Okay, mealtime supervision, playground. Playground, we've got zones, and I've got a picture. Every room has a map of the playgrounds with the zones. I was so organized last night, and now I don't know where it is, but anyway, every room around the phone or at the exit door has a map of the playgrounds. And there's zones, 1, 2, and 3, because you've got the swings at the end with the rock, and then you've got the awning, and then you've got, if you ride bikes, up at the front end here. And then on the little playground, you've got just sporadically, you know, the kids are squirrels, they're gonna be moving around. We should not be, and in fact, Holly Cotton, who was our program evaluator 2 people ago, we should not at any point on the playground be sitting down, unless you are helping a 2-year-old who is sad. You know, don't hold them all the time because they need to get up and play, but it's okay to hold them, it's okay to sit for a little while, but if you're sitting and congregating, that will get us written up as well. It's kind of comical because I can see the playgrounds from my office, and I've got them on my phone as well, so if I'm not here and I'm sick, I can still see things. But as I noticed, there was one time this past spring that I noticed it, like congregating, and I opened up the door to look out, and it was like, it's not my first rodeo, ladies. So please don't do it to where I have to be the bad guy. I know you want to stand around and talk, and while you're out there on the playground, you can stand around and talk. But when you are doing that, make sure that you're watching this way, and that who you're talking to is watching that way. Walk around, monitor, because when those kids fall off of the rock, or they are pushed off of whatever, you need to be able to say to the parents, I saw, because I'm not out there and I didn't see it, so I'm not going to be messaging the parents, but they're going to be asking, hey, what happened? And if you guys are not monitoring, it might not even be your class, but yet you saw and you shared with Lindsay, here's what happened to, you know, the child that was in her class, she can then say, Sarah saw this happen, instead of, well, we don't know, and it's gonna happen, completely get it, but it's gonna least likely happen if we are not sitting, if we are up walking around, because the health and safety of these children should come first. We have a great time together, lots of laughter and fun, but we also need to make sure that while we are in large areas like that, we are doing our due diligence, and we are not sitting, but we are walking around, making sure that you're doing name to face. When you leave your classroom and they're coming out in the hallway, here's an example of what I would do. So and we were down a hallway in a church building. There were 4 classrooms, and I was the only pre-K, so I was like my own little island. As we would walk out the door, I would stand where I could still see in the classroom, because you know, Carson, my youngest, he's gonna be the one that's gonna be like, doing something, don't do it, I'm watching you, don't do it. So I've got to keep my eyes on Carson, and he's a great guy now, it just took him a lot, he's just 22. So I'm watching Carson, but I'm also watching as they're walking down the hallway to stop at the red square, to stop at the whatever. So name to faces are coming through, okay, 1, Ray, 2, Shelley, 3, Addison, 4, and you've got to be looking at your lanyard. Because and I don't understand that. Yeah, it's, but if you're holding your lanyard up and you do see your class, and you can take a Sharpie and mark out your kids that are not here today, because we can dry erase, magic eraser that off the next day. We're looking at the lanyard where something has happened. Nobody has told me what happened, but something has happened for this to be this big of a deal. So put yourself where you can see both areas, and then as you walk to, like as you're walking down the hallway to this area to go to the playground, or out your door to the playground, you can then see them coming down the hallway and out the door. It's monotonous, but it has to be done because state requires us to do that. So just make sure, and if you even, like Jessie did last year, make a song so the kids start singing it too. You know, they start to know the order and what they're supposed to line up in. And if you do have an order to where you're lining the kids up, it's going to be so much easier come October that they automatically know where to get in line instead of pushing and shoving, I wanna be first, because that's gonna happen too. But if you have them, and it'll be easier in the pre-K and then trickling down this way, we're still kittens, I'm so sorry. But yeah, little squirrels and kittens. Please, 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 from day one, make sure that you're practicing the name to face. So, okay, name to face, covered that. It's any time that you are leaving your room going to another area. Nap time. Okay, pre-K, you can kind of like snooze for a little bit because this doesn't apply to you unless you need to take a little siesta in the day. Here's what's beautiful about our level of education. When you are in elementary, middle, high school, they have got admin that is over pushing down, here's what needs to be accomplished. We just need to survive. We need to love on these babies, and at the end of the day, they need to go home knowing that they are loved on. Everything else is gonna fall into place. We do not have admin from above coming to us and say, hey, by the end of this semester, your children need to be blah, 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 blah. That's the beauty of this. So if during your day, you realize something's off, we're not getting anything accomplished, take a step back and be flexible and, regroup. There is nothing that has to be done during any given day that, like, if you've got mapped out for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're gonna accomplish this, and it doesn't get done, leave a note for your co-teacher, because then they can try and do it the next day. And if that doesn't work, then try it again on Wednesday. But being able to be flexible, and today is a gorgeous day, it's rained for the past 62 days, we're gonna go outside. That's okay too, because they do need that fresh air. So please hear me say that if you realize we're off, we're gonna, at the beginning of the school year, we're going to bring blankets and we're going to take little rests because they are upcoming pre-K that were in the 3s, used to naps last year, that's fine too. I'm not going to micromanage what you do individually in your rooms unless I see that there's a overuse of phone. That's where I'm gonna micromanage and we're gonna have a problem. But you pretty much have got whatever within your team that you can do in your room. So hear me say being flexible is part of that. Nap time. You'll have the 2 hands that are in there to help, and then we can call floaters in because it's going to be new. They're used to either being in cribs or on a bed, and I'm laying on the floor. This is so odd. So it's gonna take a hot minute, but the beauty is this next week, we dismiss at 12, and then the fun starts on the 17th. So we've got a little bit of time before we get into that chaos. But there's extra help that can come in, and it's just a matter of calling a floater to come in and help. So the week of the 17th, we can just make sure that your floater comes in and do that. 3s, same type thing. They should be laying down a little bit before you guys, so then the floaters would be able to come and help you in your rooms, getting them ready to. We are required to let them rest for 30 minutes. Now what's funny is in this, it states we're not to force them to lay down. We're gonna strongly suggest it. we're not gonna force it, but we're gonna be like, hey, you need to rest, because they are going to grow better if they do have some rest. Now, saying that, the first month, maybe even going into September, if they start to see and sense and become aware that if I lay down for a certain amount of time and I don't fall asleep, I get to go play, that's where it's like, so we probably have too many going to play and not that many napping, because they're tossing and turning and keeping themselves up. So if they have quiet activities or something to stay on the mat, that's fine too, until we get into a routine and we see who is and is not going to sleep. We've had parents in the past who it messes up bedtime, completely get it, that they've outgrown nap time because they put them to bed at 7:30, 8. That's absolutely fine. But what we have had to tell, I think it was one of our young pre-Ks, maybe when she was in the 3s, the parent didn't want her laying down because she would fall asleep. Well, she was sitting at the table doing this. Well, we let the parent know, hey, so she's gonna fall and hit her head because she's falling asleep at the table. So we made an arrangement that if she wanted to, she could drop her off for early class and then pick her up at nap time to then go home and let her run and play in the yard or whatever. So she was getting an hour of school when, you know, to keep her from falling and, you know, concussing herself, then this works well too. So I don't think she took us up on that. There was another family that did pick them up a little bit early, but they used early class, and so it kind of evened out at the end. But they should be laying down for at least 30 minutes to rest, and then if they do not fall asleep, they can be taken to the playroom to play, because I want to say it was Asher. It was Asher. Yes, that would be taken to the playroom to play because he was disrupting the rest who were sleeping. So with you having co-teachers, one can decide, I'll stay in here this time, and during nap time, each classroom will have their own iPads. There's a bucket of them somewhere, and I was so organized last night. I think it's in my room. They were, and I think it's in the office because there wasn't a lid on top of it. That's empty files. But each classroom will have an iPad, and if during nap time, sorry pre-K, you want to read through trainings, you can go ahead and do trainings. You're listening and reading, doing trainings. So you're kind of, you know, two birds with one stone. At no point, and we'll talk about this later too, should you have headphones in, because listening to it, you can have it on low so you can hear it, but you also need to be able to hear the children as they're sleeping. Because if there's something off with their breathing, congested, whatever, we need to be able to make sure that we're monitoring and adjusting as they're sleeping. Okay, diapering in the afternoon, they, for the 2s, need to be started about 2:15 because the children need to be taken to their cars with a fresh diaper. Now, in my experience, you put that fresh diaper on them and they're gonna poop immediately because it's fresh. We just need to make sure that if that does happen, we then change them again, because if they go to the car in a poopy, we've had parents drop them off in poopies, and after a while I was like, negative Ghost Rider, I need you to change them in your car and then bring them in. So that's where aggressively passive comes in. I don't have a problem helping you and the parents learn normalcy of life. Because when they poop in the car and they don't want to change them, I'm so sorry, they were in your care first. So we've got plenty of poops during the day to take care of too. So, but if we could make sure that they are, and it's, diapers need to be checked every 2 hours, if not sooner, and not just, Stars would come through with this too, not just a touch, you've got to actually pull and see if there's poop. I couldn't smell for almost 23 years, which was nice, and my poor kids had raw bottoms and didn't bother me because I couldn't smell it, but I'm better now. 5 sinus surgeries later. Okay, health and safety. Let's see, health and safety, it lists out what we are obligated to do. So this one says something about illnesses. I do understand that parents might not be aware of their kids becoming sick during the day, during the morning, completely get that. So they could be bouncing off the walls at home, and mid-morning, they start to run a fever. And the parents feel so bad about that, and I'm not trying to put a guilt trip on them because it happens to all of us. I mean, they were bouncing off the walls, they came in fine, but something was a little off as they, continued on their day. The ones that I do have an issue with are the ones that are medicating them before they're coming in because they've got a birthday luncheon, and I'm sorry, your child just threw up. Oh, well, we just sat down to eat. And you'll be here in 15 minutes because your child is throwing up. Again, I'll delicately mention that to the parents on Thursday, that when their kids are sick, they need to have our phone number stored so that they're answering. Yeah, I had one that was in meetings and she had silenced her phone, and her kid's running like a 102 fever, and they'll sit up here for the longest until we can get in touch with them. So I do understand they've got meetings and they've got things that they've got to do, but they have just exposed our hallway and our staff and the children to whatever their kids running. So we strongly encourage the parents to do the 48 hour symptom free, so that they're not exposing us, because kids will bounce back within the first 24, 36, and then they have a relapse sometimes, not always, but sometimes that'll happen, and it's during that relapse that then we are exposed. And we have been, stomach bug has come through here, I think the flu has even come through here,
The strep or something.
okay, there was a classroom that was wiped out with strep. Strep is easy, and it needs to be taken care of too. Once they get medicine within 24 hours and change the toothbrush, it's more the stomach bug that then, you think that they're better, but then they expose the next person, and so then it wipes out like a lot of staff, and there's no subs that can come in because they're sick as well. So we will strongly encourage the 48 hours, and messaging, calling on Brightwell to come pick them up, and just explaining that, your kid has been pulled from the room and is sitting up here waiting on you. I'll say it delicately though. The children's temperatures will be taken as they come in the door to then go to the classroom, so that we kind of see some, it's kind of funny because in the cooler months when it's pleasant to us and we're like still in shorts and t-shirts, you'll open up some of the doors and it's like a tropical rainforest. You're like, oh, that's hot. But they are used to a hotter climate, and so they'll get out and they're hot because they've been in the vents that are blowing. So we give them a second or two up here at the front area to cool off before taking them to the classrooms, but we also need to make sure their temperatures do come down. And we've had to call some parents that have just dropped off and was like, hey, so they're running a fever, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, it's not your fault, you just didn't know. They were acting normal, but it's just a very low grade fever, and we try our best to keep the kids here during a school day, but we also are very, very mindful that there are some that, like, we don't want to expose others to sicknesses, and a low grade fever, something's going on. So we try to be very diligent about keeping our place healthy. Okay, occurrence reportable, if there's big diseases that come through, then I have to report it. If we've got like a lot of cases of the flu, then I've got to report that. We do not administer medication. We are not here long enough for us to do that, and I love that because it's the safety of the kids. If I'm talking and I'm measuring it out and I'm distracted and I give it to them and I give them too much, I don't want that to come back on me, because I don't want it to happen. So the parents can give them medication before they drop them off, and then they pick them up at 2:30 or even 3:30 and you can give them that afternoon medication before they give them a bedtime. So therefore, we do not give medication. If we were in 8 hours preschool or daycare, that would be different, but we're not. So they can do morning and afternoon around our hours. What we do allow is EpiPens. There's going to be some of those after I look through to confirm what they found this summer. And there are backpacks that can go on the back of the doors, and I think it is more for nut allergy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember,
Well,
I
and-
marked, because there was a couple that I marked too, like, I think we have an epileptic.
Yes, which we'll talk, we'll talk about that with the teacher in a second, because it would be an ingested, which that room needs to be nut free, and so the chances keeping that room contained will lessen the risk for that child. But the EpiPen can stay on the back of the door, so that if there is a need for it, the medication form that was in the envelope, wherever I put it, there it is, needs to be with the EpiPen. It needs to not be expired, because that's a headache too. She will check the dates and all that when she does come in. I'll list the allergies because that's on my to-do list today, and that will be posted in all of the rooms. But EpiPen, and then if they have a breathing machine, I have asthma, and so I know how to use the breathing machines, and so I don't want them to not be able to come to school if it's just a little bit of, it's lungs and it's not something that is an infectious, contagious illness. They can send in the breathing machines and I can do that. So EpiPens and breathing machines, yes. Sunscreen, I won't even do that because I'm married to a very sensitive skinned man. Threatened him with like washing all of his underwear and like the detergent that he can if if you ever make it, I'm kidding. But he had no sooner put it on than he took it off and I was like, well then you better watch yourself. But he does a good job. So, but with him having sensitive skin, I don't want to put sunscreen on a child that then they have a reaction to. So I will strongly advise the parents to put sunscreen on before they bring their children to school, because if I'm using your sunscreen and Ray's allergic, then Ray's gonna break out in a rash. So I don't want to chance that. Desitin type things as well. Something that Cheryl had mentioned years ago is if there's a diaper rash need, like for Desitin or whatever, the parents can put the Desitin in the diapers and send the diapers in to be put on the child later, but then you're not obligated to put Desitin on the child. Aquaphor I think would be the other option, because I want to say Emily years ago, she was allergic to Desitin, had to use like the doTERRA version of it. So there's eczema and skin issues, and so it is easier to just not than to chance something breaking out on the kids. Okay, diapering, same thing. Needs to be done every 2 hours, checking to make sure that, like, looking, not just touching. When you are changing a diaper, when they are done, you have to wash your hands, the child's hands, then you have to do soapy water on the mat, and then you have to do it with the bleach water. They suggest that you let it air dry, but if you're doing it before you go outside to play, then you can wipe it down, but they strongly encourage the Clorox water to air dry. Washing your hands, clean and soiled surfaces, did that. And then it mentions the floor beneath the area. That could probably just be that where you spray the bleach water on the floor right there. Soapy water, okay. Okay. Let me make sure. Never left unattended on the mat as you were changing. Make sure that you've got everything. And you should have gloves, wipes, and then the diapers are on the wall right above. So you should have everything right there at your fingertips when you're ready to diaper. Okay. Meal and snack time procedures. We've talked about how you're to be at the table with them. You can't be reading a book, watching TV, but you can be listening to something as long as your eyes are on the children. You must wash your hands, have the children wash their hands before and after. Something that Morgan would do years ago, Morgan's now at EZEL, but Morgan would give the children in her pre-K class, she would give them a baby wipe at the end of the day and let them wipe their faces before they left. Genius. Because if the kids are here during the day and like they've got snot and they're doing this and all the things, well, it's gonna be caked all over their faces. And then you've got Oreos that are gonna be caked in the snot, and they lay down to take a nap. Well, at the end of the day, if you send that face out to the parents, what message are we sending? So if we just, as we're diapering them, just wipe off the crusty noses and the faces, and there's going to be those kids who just are constantly running. If that's the case, then we need to be like, hey, they need to go see their doctor because something's going on, and there's mucus everywhere, which that will make me throw up over poops. And it's because I've had 5 sinus surgeries. I deal with the sinus issues, and I'm drowning myself, and so I'll be like, I'll take the poop if you can do the snot. And people are usually able to quickly agree to just shift. Okay. The tables need to be sprayed with the soapy water and wiped, and then sprayed with the bleach water and let that air dry. Most times, floaters will come in and take care of your tables while you're outside playing. If that doesn't happen, we can talk about the schedule and we can work out something to where it does, but our floaters are on it and pretty good. Very proficient with their tasks. So soapy water, wipe, bleach water, let it air dry, and that is before and after snack and before and after lunch. Sitting at the table, we'll redo the pictures of educator A sitting at the table, because I don't know that I sat for the picture where you would be sitting. And so we can take a picture of you. You'll understand what I'm saying. When you go look in your rooms around the phone, there's a picture and I'm holding up an A.
And you were so happy.
That was the 2 visits ago where Jacoby goes, Miss Shelley, I told you, and I said, I'm gonna go right over there. My aggressive passive self will just exit, so she didn't tell me. Food service. All right. As children become used to being around us, they will maybe not eat all of their lunch. They're going to be distracted. They're going to be like, I don't know you, I don't want to eat, I want my mommy. Or like distracted in conversation, and they're not gonna eat their lunches fully. Well, the parents are gonna start to worry because their children are not eating. Or some of them are still feeding their children to where they're not sure how to pick up the food themselves. And that's not a joke. The parents put the food in the child's mouth to where they don't know to pick it up and feed themselves. And so that's something that will happen a little bit more as we get into the school year. They'll start to learn and they will eat more, but they're not to be forced to eat. They cannot have food withheld from them, and adequate time. That can be whatever you set aside. In elementary school, I think they have 20, 30, 25?
I think it's like 20 to 25.
They have 20 to 25 minutes to eat. And if they can't get their applesauce opened and they're sitting there with their hand raised for a cafeteria attendant to come and help, you know, there's only like 2 ladies in there. So we've got to get your level ready for that next level. Different here, and it's different here, but if you needed to even have a clock that is lit up or a timer, I can get that so that you can have ample time. Hey, be mindful the clock's about to go off, and because if they're sitting there and they're talking and they're playing and they're not eating, that's still giving them adequate time. They're just not using that adequate time wisely. So making sure that they do eat, messaging the parents on Brightwell, hey, Shelley didn't have an appetite, which is never a word that's ever said about me, but she didn't eat her lunch today because she didn't seem to have an appetite. I just want to let you know that most of her lunch is coming home. So just communicating with the parents to let them know. We do have either Skittles, M&Ms, or Suckers. There's some families that do not want their children to have the extra sugar, and that's absolutely fine because that's their child. We do have Smelly Spots, which was another Morgan find, which is genius. So right over there under that clock, there is a chapstick holder on a key ring, and right there on that cabinet too, under, Humpty Dumpty, there's like 3 of them. So those are chapsticks that smell, and so if those kids that cannot have the Skittle, the M&M, or the Sucker, we give Smelly Spots, and so they'll walk around and like, you know, ask them about the scent or whatever, and so they get a Smelly Spot as a reward too, and then you see someone, please don't lick the chapstick off of your hand. So there's alternate options for rewards if you have a parent that doesn't want your child to have the extra sugar. Food allergies, I'm going to go through that list today, and they've already been tagged by some of my summer staff. Thank you for that. And I'll post those up on your walls. We do have a 3-year-old who has seizures, and having a conversation with her mother, she was, and I appreciate this, if we sense that she is congested or has something going on, we will not send her to school. I said, thank you for that. But they have had, I think from the start, they're trying to figure out why and what might be causing these, and I think she's yours, Caitlin. So sorry.
It's okay.
So sorry.
Are they grandma seizures or absent seizures? Like, does she actually physically shake and seize, or is it like just a blank stare kind of?
I think it's a physical shake, and I need to check her her packet to confirm. But talking to Mom over the phone made me think that it is something that needs to be uber aware of. And so saying that, on Friday, after everybody leaves from meeting the parents, we're gonna have a meeting, and I'm hoping that Mandy can come in, we'll be in the meeting, just so that they're in floaters, all the floaters, so that there's multiple adults aware of what's going on. Her name is Towns, So just so that you're aware as well, so if you're on the playground, we're just watching her to make sure, watching all of them, but I will confirm all of that. I think that we have had another little friend last year in the twos who had, what was the other, the group?
Absent.
Absent, okay.
Yeah, the grandma seizures are.
The shaking.
Actually, yeah.
Okay, I think the,
Absent.
that one right there, sorry. Because it just kind of froze and there was a blank,
Yeah, blank stare.
yeah, they would get up from nap.
But they may even like walk out in traffic, you know, cause they're just not like, they can't stop,
Right.
you know, kind of thing.
Okay. His wasn't that bad, it was just one of those where they were like, he just woke up from nap, that doesn't seem right, and they kind of watched it for a couple of days. And it was beautiful in that they messaged the parents and mentioned, you know, talk to your pediatrician, see if there's something, because here's what we're noticing when they're waking up from nap time. And the parents didn't pursue it. So we continued to watch and did what we could while we were here, and it was not bad. But if it had, I would have aggressively, passively been more. So I need you to send me a doctor's note that you've done this. Okay. Equipment. If on the playground you see that anything is broken, if there's a sharp edging, if there's something that could cause injury, please make me aware of it so that we can either have Curtis or Mandy or myself go and repair the equipment, remove it, whatever needs to be done. If there is a toy that is broken that no longer needs to be on the playground, dumpster's right there, go ahead and take it and just tell me, hey, we need to replace this, or if it doesn't need to replace, that's fine, but we just need to make sure that that broken toy, the old, worn out, looking toy, has been removed. They put new mulch on the playgrounds the week after we were out for the summer before church camp. And so it looks really nice and fresh, but weeds are starting to grow through it. So as you're out there, just, you know, kind of pull the weeds out. They shouldn't be too terribly deep. And just throw them over the fence. They'll cut it with the grass, the weed eater, or the, whatever, the lawnmower afterwards. Let me think here. If you need something for your room, make me a wish list. And I will have that for you as readily available as I can when Amazon delivers it to my house. At the end of the day, make sure that your bleach water bottle is used to spray around the room, spray the sink, spray the toilet, use up the bleach water. I think even after spraying it around the room, I had some teachers that said they still had plenty in there, and so they poured it down the sink, so then it kind of helped clean out the sinks there too. Those bottles need to be taken to the kitchen. There's a basket beside the refrigerator, and every morning a new batch of bleach water is made up to then be brought to your rooms. I have forgotten that more times than not. Well, even saying it, not taking it down there, but just saying it so that you'd be aware of it. And Mandy will still be like, hey, do you mind saying? And by the time I do say it, it's too far gone out of mind that we forget collectively. But if you will make sure that you're using that bleach bottle to spray and bleach your room, because there's gonna be germs, and if we can kill those germs before the next batch tomorrow comes into school, and then the bleach bottle is returned, then they will be filled and put in the rooms. So bleach bottles go in the kitchen beside the refrigerator in the basket. Where do the bleach bottles go? Okay, thank you. Yep. Program language literacy development. This is where your observations that are in here come into play. As you see the children are able to handle and do the tasks, we're just gonna mark them down, and it's not something that you have to do every day. It is something that after they come in, we'll do maybe the end of October, so you kind of have a beginning. And then we'll do either like December, January, when we come back, and then the end, April, May-ish. But if you are observing what they can and cannot do, the calendar, the curriculum that is set up, the themes per month are built for us to build on per age group, and that's something that Mackenzie will talk about a little bit more Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on our timetable that we can get through. But she has set up a beautiful plan for us to build on as they grow, and she'll talk to you more about that. But that's where, as you're talking to the children, you're encouraging them to dig deeper into what they collectively or like creatively are thinking. If there was stars years ago, Bennett, my middle kid, was in Miss Gloria's class, and she was picked. I was only picked one time out of all those years, and I was ready to, and that's why they didn't pick me, because I was ready. If I wasn't ready, they wouldn't have picked me. But she had Bennett, and she was picked, and his sister was already in elementary school covering whatever it was that she was covering in school, and at lunch, conversation was brought up, and he starts spouting off whatever he had overheard us talking about with Addison. Gloria came to me later that day, and she was like, "Thank you so much." I said, "Did he behave?" Because, I mean, you could have easily, I would have wore him out. I was a spanker with my kids. I expected him to behave. And she was like, "No, the conversation, he brought up this, and it helped to, like, enrich our conversation further." So just helping them enrich conversation. Well, why is that? Why do you think? What help them kind of come up with the answers and let it be child directed and not so much adult directed. We can adult direct a lot of areas, but we also want to give them opportunities to child direct it as well. And you're gonna hear some funny things. Don't believe all of it, but we'll let the parents know that we've been invited to go on vacation with them. Our bags are packed, ready to go. Okay. Let's see. We're smiling, touching,